Mwikali nafanya na Pussy Power na niko kwa party ya Femicide movement. Na reason tuko hapa tukiwa na Defenders Coalition kama movement, na nafurahi tunaona chair wetu Mary Simat hapa. Mpigeni makofi. Na I hope you'll get a time to share your story about your journey kwa chief na pia kuwa MCA na bado kuwa kwa movement. Tulienda maandamano last year, si ndio? Wangapi walitokelezea na wakaorganize kwa counties? Kila mtu seriously. Leo tumeoga, leo tupigani, si ndio? Tuko serious business. Na tukafanya a whole year of advocacy, convening, policy work, community organizing, si ndio? Then tukakuja December. Wachana na Dark Valentine, tulifanya Dark Valentine na others. December tukafanya maandamano kubwa. And I hope there's a government official in this meeting. Is there one? Nani, which department? DPP. Very good, because also we have a challenge na hiyo ofisi, but mmetusaidia kesi zingine. Tunashukuru, pigeni DPP makofi. Tukaenda maandamano town. When tulikuwa Nairobi nione mkono juu. And it's good the DPP wako hapa. Mmeshare nini tulifanyiwa kwa street? Have you shared? So wachaneni wa insight kama mnaogopa positively ndio ajue kufuatilia kesi zetu. DPP were harassed sexually by the police, were beaten, were tear gassed. And we had given notification. Christina danganya ama ni ukweli? And Femicide movements, we have groups meeting. Until today, the list were given, the list for justice as women in this country was a transfer of police officers, not any arrest and accountability. To commit more crime in other counties, to kill women in more other counties, to violate women in other counties. Is that what it means when our president says they are ending femicide? We had our own recommendations that we gave. Sindio? We know consultation now works in this country. It's about per diems and meetings. As we gave our recommendation, what we are looking for is that this recommendation to be implemented. So Melba, tuko na county zote hapa za mashinani, the same way we have devolved government. Please, comrades, mwensure, we have even our own critique for that committee. We have our own recommendation in terms of even engaging with them face to face. And that's why DC, Kamau, and the team like Gloria, we need you because sometimes they come after us. Some women rep will threaten county coordinators. Sindio? Comrades power. Comrades power.
Power.
Yelele ya ya we.
Yeah.
You can't stand this revolution in dancing. Yeah. Ololo ya we. Oh La Petriaki we baki nyuma sitwaenda na haki. Na Petriaki we baki nyuma sitwaenda na haki. Na Femicide
we baki nyuma sitwaenda na haki.
Na Femicide
we baki nyuma sitwaenda na haki.
Wololo ya we. Oh Wololo ya we. Oh Na pamoja we. Pamoja tuashinda. Na pamoja
tuashinda.
Oleyo. Ningeomba mkae chini na niko na kiongozi hapa asimame na DK asimame, Phelister ukuje, Gloria ukuje na Simat. There's a reason why I'm calling all of you here. Gloria. Nimeanza. Siwezi benefit peke yangu kwa hii movement, lazima tu benefit sisi wote. Ama comrades. But you don't look lovely, mnaka mmeboeka. Mmechoka. Ama nikushikwa mall. Msiseme tukaziwe. So the reason why naita hii team hapa mbele, ningependa kuita kila mtu, but najua because of time. Hii journey jakuwa easy. na tumekuwa na very intersectional way of organizing and working that the comrades here have been very instrumental. Kuna kitu nilikumbushwa na Malombe na Kamau we did last year on passing the baton, na najua pia Simat amekuwa kwa hii conversation, and why it's important for all of us as women human rights defenders and having the mandate of defenders to defend pia kama feminist activists, ndio, na pia kama gender non-conforming people in the room ama LGBTQ. Malombe, we are here. You also lead a very strong institution in this movement. And me, I like doing social contracts. Yes. Kabla nitoroke. DK na John na Gloria wamefanya yao. And there's a reason why I'm calling them even through the chair. On also taking the risk on our behalf to host the resource. They got victimized. The good and the bad thing, all of us are also in the list of anarchists. And also they are also been my fathers, my mentors in helping us in pushing this struggle. Sipati host, nataka nipatie the oldest, well-resourced human rights organization in Kenya. Simpige makofi. Nani Wakwiro. So pia tuambie yeye kama our darling, our love. Najua mekaa huko in space ya wanawake. Malombe, this journey, you're going to hold this task force accountable. We want to disrupt this country, our lives to be taken seriously. As KHRC, na najua DPP ataongea, ashaongea. But DPP tunamtegemea malipa kubwa. Juu cases ni mingi. Malombe, KHRC, what are you promising the women and the HRDs
Hallelujah,
in this country, moving with us in this forward? Sindio? Simanuza tuna fundraise aje. Now baba tu wetu. Malombe, to you, and introduce yourself. Na najua kuimba waimbie. Na najua kudance.
Comrade power.
Power.
Comrades power.
Power.
Pamoja we.
Pamoja, pamoja, pamoja tuashinda.
Pamoja.
Pamoja, pamoja, pamoja tuashinda.
Simama we.
Simama, simama, simama imara.
Simama.
Simama, simama, simama imara.
Comrade power.
Power.
My name is Davis Malombe. I serve, I don't work. I serve in the office of the Executive Director, Kenya Human Rights Commission, and the KHRC and Defenders Coalition. Akina Rachel, we have come a long way. So DK, thank you so much for this very powerful convening. I think this is how we make some of these international days more transformative and more activist. Because today, other government institutions are also, county governors are also celebrating this day. So I think it was a good idea to bring the human rights and also feministic angles to this discourse. So congrats, and also thank you so much for also attending. Rachel.
Yes, our love, our darling, our buju buju.
Introduced in a way which reminds about the discussion we had last week when we were celebrating the former regional director of Ford Foundation, where we were saying it's amazing the kind of imagination the Kenyan state has about us, that we can support demonstrations when there's even no global system which can enable people to organize that way. So what I just want to say is I think this event is happening in a time when this country is going through serious political governance challenges. But I think the spirit of revolution and the spirit of resilience has now come up. So this is the time the women should take up the space. This country has a history of rebellion and resistance. So where I sit, I normally say we are a product of the struggle which has happened from 1895 to date. We are talking about 130 years. So that's why Kenya is usually very different. Museveni can behave the way he behaves. If we were to be given him here for a month, we'll teach him manners. Samia hapa. Because in Uganda and Tanzania, there is no history of rebellion. Because most of them did not go through proper colonialism. So I think that colonial history and the resistance is what has been inbuilt in our strongholds. So even when young people were raising last year, it was the same history. If we had no history of fighting, it would have been difficult for even the Gen Z to come up. So I think now we are discussing this and we are hosting this in a very historic context. And I think now there is no excuse for not raising up, because the history has given us inspiration. The young people has given us more energy. 2027 is going to be a time when major determinations are going to happen. So I think one of the things as women movement and also human rights defenders we need to think about is how do we capture the political space so that now we have more women getting elected in different positions, because we have discovered the power is political. So, DK, we can't just remain in the margin and say we are going to be advocating, we are going to be lobbying, we are going to be pushing for accountability. I think some of us need to get into the spaces of power so that now we become part of the people who are going to change things there. So if we don't do that, these criminals who are part of the political system, these guys who are part of ODM, you remember in 2005, so they are the same. So you don't expect any transformation from Kalonzo, from Ruto, from Musalia, from Martha Karua. All these gangs are crooks. So I think this is the time we need to think about a new culture, which is in line with the spirit in the Constitution of Kenya. Katiba is very clear about the Kenya we want. Article 4, sub-article 2, says Kenya shall be a multi-party democratic state governed according to the principles and the values of good governance in Article 10. So, sisi zote tunakimbianga Article 10. But we don't ask ourselves, what is Article 10 measuring? Article 10 is indicators of a democratic multi-party state. So the Katiba is very clear, and we are very protected, and then the politics gives us the inspiration. So I think women, human rights defenders in this forum, we have no excuse. The history validates our work. The Constitution protects our stronghold. Article 1, we have the sovereign power. That power can be exercised directly or through these criminals we have delegated power to.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think as we deal with the femicide, I think let's find ways of dealing with the governance questions in the country, because I think it's this patriarch and this kind of governance system which is driven by the interest of men, which puts women in this struggle, in this situation. So
Malombe, I'll put you on spot.
Yes.
Because I know we have a session and I'm eating people's time. And there's a reason I've called the chair, director, program manager, and partnership, and Phelister. So as a comrade, as our person, whether in KHRC or not, we are moving to asking those accountability questions on governance, which also is your mandate as KHRC. So what kind of support can you offer these amazing women of Kenyans, amazing feminists and activists from your leadership position? Because DK cannot do it alone.
Yeah.
DC cannot do it alone. You are our people in the sector.
Okay. So,
in a nutshell, so that we save time.
Yeah, as we are a political organization, so I just want to make a political commitment. Yakwama will ensure that you are supported, you are empowered politically. Because DK comes in a big way in terms of giving us protection.
Yes.
But I think we need to be able to occupy the space because we are protected. This protection is not supposed to be for us to feel good. Kuka kwa nyumba. So because we are protected, I think as we are going to come in to ensure that you have the political power.
Yes.
And you also have the political cover to occupy the space and deal with all the kind of injustices which come your way. Okay. In case there are systemic human rights violations touching on your rights, not just as women, but also as women human rights defenders on the ground, we are available to intervene when it comes to litigation, when it also comes to policy and the political actions.
Sio iko sawa? Wangapi wanasimama 2027? Who are vying 2027? Please, can you stand up, please, for those who are going to vie for political seats? Please.
We want 100%. We want 100%. 100%. This is 1%. We expected 100%.
Hey. Please, comrades, you are our people. Meskia commitment.
Occupy those spaces, my dear. Occupy those spaces. They are your spaces.
Tumeona.
That's the only way.
Msifanye mradi wenye wasimami mseme mnasimama. Tumeona people are going to speak our issues as women of this country. Sindio? So we're expecting your manifesto, Femicide, to be one of the manifesto. Tunaelewana? You're in good hands with Malombe. So a quick one, me I'll break protocol decay. Yes. Gloria, in 1 minute, has been the journey. Not many organizations risk working with people like us. We can be very troublesome, eh? Sindio? Sinona tuliweka kwa risk kwa list ya anarchists. Sindio? Which is sad. But they did it on behalf of the women of Kenya and the people of Kenya. Has it been? And what is that encouragement that inspired you to work with this team? Ainajua tunakusumbuanga. But you kept the fire.
Number one, hamunisumbuangi. I find joy and pleasure working with women. The journey has not been easy. Easy in the sense that we have had a lot of roadblocks. When we try to do something, we get a roadblock. And I had mentioned this in the morning, Rachel. The biggest concern that we have is 15 years later, after the promulgation of the Constitution, women's issues have not been addressed fully. That is the biggest roadblock that we have, because from where we sit, once those issues are addressed, we will be able to do better. But one of the things that gives us the resilience to continue doing what we do is the resilience that we see from the women who are in the forefront. The commitment, the resources, and I'm not talking about money. There are people in this room who have done a lot when it comes to women's rights at their level without resources. That is what keeps us moving. And also we have got a lot of support from partners within this country and outside this country who have made sure that we continue with the zeal and we also get to continue to do what we want. Last but not least, this particular institution, the Defenders Coalition, has embraced the fact that we need to prioritize concerns of women human rights defenders and feminists.
Meskia.
And therefore, that is where the strength comes in. Even when it seems too dark, we continue pushing because we know we have support, not only from the Executive Director's Office, but as well as the Board of Trustees of the institution.
Thank you, Gloria. Simpige Gloria makofi. We see you, we celebrate you as we celebrate ourselves and other women human rights defenders. Thank you for sticking with us and not giving up. Mr. Director, I remember sometimes back we were with you when the things were very hot. But you kept on telling me, Mwikali, we can't give up. We have to keep on pushing. Things are tough, things are bad. Why that decay? We have seen many people in the movement wanatuachilia tu kama women HRD, kama feminists. Ama when you tell them take the risk and receive the resources on our behalf, because people say movements zikipata pesa tunapigana, si ndio? Si tumepigana? Tumeuana? Is it not that successful? Simjipigia makofi. Barua zikaandikwa, but you remain strong. You remain strong. Why? What kept you going?
Do we have a choice? Do we have a choice? As human rights defenders, can you sit back and say, oh, please, today I'm down, I'm not feeling well, please go look for another activist to support your case? Have you ever said no to a woman who has come to you, whose child has been raped, and you said, I will not touch you, today I'm tired? That's the spirit. That's the spirit. But just to clarify, or to insist, and because the DPP is here, we had to seek the court protection when the what are they called? The PBO, excuse me, PBO. The PBO authority convened a press conference and said that we have identified 16 Ford grantees, Ford Foundation grantees. They are criminals, they are NGOs, they are facilitating takeover. They didn't say protest. They're facilitating chaos and government takeover. We had to seek the indulgence of the court to stop them from investigating us. Stand with us. We need to fight some of this misinformation that are used to attempt to crush some of these organizations. So we shall fight. But let me tell you, if you look at the books that we've given you, what is it called? Hii kitabu yetu hii iko na mapicha ya watu wengi. Inaitwa profile. Kizungu siku hizi inapoteanga. Yes, have you seen those beautiful and handsome faces there? Have you seen there is one space that is blank? When we say we have lost women, when we say we have lost human rights defenders that have been killed because of who they are or what they stand for, it is real. Those are the people that are there. Please, it started with criminalization of our work. I know in your courts, I think I have a record of right now over 50 ongoing cases of criminalization of human rights defenders. Because when they are presented to you, we are presented as criminals. Criminals who violated, you demonstrated without a permit. I've never known where the law come from. That we disobeyed, what? The reality is that we are criminalized as human rights defenders. Please, and the last time I had a conversation with the former DPP, one of the things that he did, unajua kila mtu apewe maua yake wakati alikuwa anafanya kazi mzuri. The former DPP, he asked me for a list of cases of human rights defenders who have been violated. And when I gave it to him, they wrote a memo to all courts, to all offices in Kenya, and all the matters of human rights defenders were withdrawn. Yeah.
Yeah, when government works, we say it works.
So, I think that is a similar appeal. We are happy to give you the list of criminalization of human rights defenders. There are so many cases. Human rights defenders are not criminals. These are the people who fight for the implementation and enforcement of our constitution. But then the legal justice system is used to intimidate and to harass. And for the women and for most of the women that are that blank page there, these are people who had already gone to a police station saying, I've been threatened with death. But there was no action. Or the matter was taken up, but then somehow is stuck somewhere in a court of law. Then they had to be killed. In all the cases, including the killing of our friend Elizabeth Ikaru, whose matter was concluded in record time, 2 years, and someone was convicted. Let me say this. There were several other reports that Elizabeth had presented saying that she's under threat, but there was no action. So my prayer is that if there is any threat, you are not the superwoman that can withstand all those. Sometimes those things can happen. Please look for Defenders Coalition. If you're a woman human rights defender who is targeted because of defending justice, defending rights, look for us. We shall work with you. Please. And if there is the case, let us know so that, my dear, we shall be more than happy to present a petition to you of that list. You want to give me the mic?
Allow me just one before they come in. Huh?
Yeah.
Just
naangalia time yenyu. Niko too serious.
DK, thank you for raising those issues. So I think just two additions. One is the case we have filed against the PB authority. I think that case should be dropped by the office of the ODPP. It has no merit. The one where the office of the DCI had also threatened to target us. So that's why we ended up going in court. So there are those cases where human rights defenders are criminalized, and then you see now you are the ones who end up going to court with cases which have no basis. And then also you see now like Penal Code and the Public Order Act. When people are arrested or protesting, where we are defending public interest and the Constitution, the charges and the Penal Code. So they are framed as criminal offense. So how are you charged as a criminal when actually you are a defender of the public interest? You see, I think we find a way of dealing with those politics. I think there's a time actually I was charged of protesting. And when I went to Milimani Law Court, the people I appeared with are all charged of stealing public money. All of them, the charges were, you have stolen this public money and you have tried to invest it in these spaces. So how do you subject human rights defenders into those kind of situations? Then the final one, I think where people have been arrested, and then now the charges are dropped. I think we have discussed with the DK. The next step is, can you direct the DCI to also remove their names from criminal record? Because that becomes the next problem. I think the office of the ODPP has the power to direct the police system. That becomes the next problem. The charges are dropped, then now your names, actually you remain criminalized.
Okay. So I hope, comrades, you're not getting bored. There's a reason why I was bringing them. So before the DPP respond, because also we want to wrap it so that we give it, the reason why I'm putting this, because hizo issue ndo zitawa affect. Tunaelewana? Utashikwa huko, ukipigania watu, uambiwe uliiba pesa ya mtu. Utashikwa huko, uambiwe uliua mtu. Tunaelewana? That's why I wanted them also here to put some things so that DPP can respond. Yet tunambash. She's also an ally, sindio? Na hii kazi tunafanya ni yetu sisi wote. Akiwin tunawin, sindio? That's why, like, nikienda for the two, as we finalize, you respond, maybe before the chair Phelister, and you work with sex workers, which majority are also women human rights defenders. They have been the same charges. In 1 minute, what are these messages that also you can ask the other movement? Munielewa nitoe filter. Ni sawa? Ni sawa? Sisi tunacriminalizing malaya. Tunasema unatuibia mabwana na mabwana si bag. Ama mbona mmenyamaza? Na bwana si machungwa, si ndio? Unajua kazi yao ni kazi kama tu kazi yako. Tunaelewana? Mniruhusu tu DPP wendo wa protocol. Unajua malaya wako na watoto? Ni madada zenyu. Wanasomesha. Wengine ni therapist ya mabwana zenyu. Na maboyfriend zenyu. Wengine ni mpango wa kando. Sijakuja hapa niweke moral card ama si moral card. But article, as long as, when you're advocate, Gloria, me si advocate, me ni activist. Article 27 iko very clear on undiscrimination. All of us, we understand what discrimination looks like, feels like, based on your identity, where you live and the work we do. Si wengine wenyu mtongo zangu juu ni activist. Wengine wetu ni mayatima wa mapenzi. Ama nyisi mayatima wa mapenzi. Mbona hapo sasa mnafanya juu ya kazi yenu mnaambia mnaongea sana. Aikibamba sana wapi nduru. So Phelister working with a constituency that iko criminalized because pia women activists, feminists, hiyo pia ni challenge. Sisi ni mayatima, wengine si mayatima wa mapenzi. Na mapenzi imanishi lazima ikuwe ya mwanaume au mwanamke, ya society pia. Vena tubeba, si ndio? What's your Caribbean call as we celebrate International Women's Day and being also one of the national convener when Femicide in 1 minute? Najua mingi tutaongea, lakini nataka DPP ajue pia kuna malaya na kipelekeo kesi za malaya, asiseme huyu ni malaya.
hata tuko na kesi. So tuko na kesi. So mimi ni Phelister na mimi sifanyi kazi tu na sex workers. Mimi ni sex worker. Nimekuwa sex worker for more than 20 years. And kila mtu swali la kwanza nilizanga, mbona sex work? Hakukuwa na kazi zingine, wewe ni mrembo. Nimekuwa mrembo kwa sababu pesa ya sex work imenimeka nikakuwa venye niko, si ndio? Because urembo pia ni do, si ndio? So one of the things ningependa kwa sisi wanawake, jambo la kwanza, tusidefine mwanamke na ile kazi ambayo anafanya. Kwa sababu mtoto wako akikuja ambaye amekimbia, mama leo nimekuwa lawyer, unafurahi. Mama leo nimekuwa hii, unafurahi. Lakini wakati unasikia mtoto wa jirani yako ni sex worker, that's where you draw the line. Na ndio maana sisi kama wanawake hatusongi mbele, kwa sababu tumeona kama as in, yes, sex ni kitu poa sana na ni kitu ambacho lazima iheshimiwe. Na sisi kama sex workers tunaifanya na heshima sana na tunaifanya na matunzi. Client akikuja kwangu, mimi kazi yangu ni kumake sure amepata pleasure na safety. Sawa sawa? Mambo mangapi? Pleasure and I make sure they get.
Mbona mongezi sauti guy?
Si ndio? Safety in a way of hata arudi kesho sitaki mtu amuone akiwa na mimi. As in anikwe, kwa sababu asikuwe named and shamed, because I still want that client here tomorrow. Mtu akikuja amuone ama mimi nimpige picha niseme hey, hata client ako hapa, people will know there's no safety in this space. Safety in that way ndio asikue backlashed outside. But again, why do we need to do that as women supporting each other? Alone as sex workers we cannot walk this journey alone. I am a criminalized woman in my country. Mimi sipigangi watu niwanyang'anye pesa kwa mifuko. Mimi si mwizi. Mimi si kitu mbaya, lakini mimi ni criminal Kenya kwa sababu earning yangu imekuwa criminalized. Living off my earning is being criminalized. That means if my child, because he has turned 18, sheria ikitumua vizuri sana, mtoto wangu anaweza fungwa kwa sababu my son is living off my earnings. If you look at that law properly, tunasema sheria ni zile za wakoloni ziliekwa, lakini sisi kama Waafrika pia tumezieka sana, tukazichukua tukazifanya zetu. Sisi sex workers ni binadamu kama venye mimi nimekaa na nyinyi hapa, mmeona nikiwa na utofauti fulani. Na tena mimi naheshimu ndoa na wanandoa kwa sababu ndoa si rahisi. Si kweli? It takes a courageous woman or man to stay in marriage. Watu wengi siku hizi kitu kidogo, nimeenda, nimetoka, nimerudi. And I respect that. I respect people who are in marriages in all their diversities. Nasema tuwapigie makofi, lakini pia sisi kitu kidogo ambacho tunasema ni wakati tumesimama tukisema tunataka sex work iko decriminalized Kenya, hatutaki kuiba wazee wenyu. Hatutaki kuiba mabibi zenyu, hatutaki kuiba nini. Tungependa tu kuprovide service ambayo watu wanakuja kutafuta kama wamejificha. Na hata mnaona maneno ya kidini yasema kitu chochote ambacho kinafanywa kwa giza, kikikuja kwa mwangaza kitakuwa kizuri. Si ni ukweli? So what we are saying is, as the Kenyan movement of sex workers, we are fighting for the criminalization of sex work. Why? Because tungependa kupata health services ambazo ni friendly, ambazo haziko stigmatized. Tungependa kupata safe working environment, because ukiangalia wanawake wengi ambao wameuawa ni nani? In 2010 uko sex workers waliuawa, na sisi sex workers tulichokeza tukisema tunauawa. We came out. Paka walikuwa wanatutoa skin kwa nyuso zetu. Our pictures were all over the social media saying that we are teaching them a lesson because they have decided to use mili zao vibaya. But today they have come back for the other women. Women who are not sex workers like me. Women who are in marriages, their husbands have gone for them. The men that we have trusted are the ones who are killing us. So, hiyo time tukipiga kelele, hii kelele sasa imekuwa ya wanawake wote. Na maisha inatufundisha ya kwamba when women are starting a journey, can we work together without stigmatizing and calling each other names? Kitu chenye mimi nafanya, mimi na dereva hatuna tofauti. Dereva anatumia mikono yake kuendesha gari, na mimi natumia sehemu ya mwili wangu kupata income. Of which it's not a criminal because it's a part of my body yenye nimepatiana consent. Kusema I'm consenting to do this work so that somebody can pay me well, and this money I will use to take care of my children. For those who know me very well, I have very beautiful children. And all the sex workers have beautiful families. At the end of the day, nikienda kwangu, tunakaa vizuri, I can be able to use that money to take them for a holiday and everything. Lakini kama kila siku natibu maumivu, kila siku hata kasa ukisikia sasa hiyo Phelister alipata virusi, wewe unataka kunipointia kidole. My friend, I'm HIV positive, I'm healthy, I'm beautiful, and I'm happy because I have to be happy for my clients to be happy. Sawa sawa. So let's walk the journey together and let's talk the journey together. Sisi wote ni wanawake. Bila nyinyi hatuwezi. Na pia mkituacha nyuma, hii safari hakuna mahali inaenda. HIV ikianza, walichukua kila mtu wakaacha sex workers, LGBTQ nyuma. Pandemic ikaongezeka ikakuwa worse in Kenya. Wakati moyo akitangaza kama national disaster, sisi tukiletwa hapo mbele tukisema we can change this system. Put us into the system so that tuambie ni nini tafanyika ndio HIV isikuwe disaster Kenya. Na wakati walituweka si mabadiliko ilionekana. Then it is the same with the laws and everything. Hata katika relationships zetu zenyu, muona tu mkisema wacha tu wao mama wafanye kazi yao. Imagine furaha itapatikana.
Igwe Phelister. So, asante Phelister, na hizi ndo hizo cases. Because I don't think DPP, the task force iko na hii face ya sex worker. That's why we want you to feel it raw na organic. Oh, local and international sex worker. Okay, sawa sawa. Kuna local, international, kuna wa monthly na wa daily. So, julizo kwa wapi? So, chair. Si wa grassroots. We msidharau tu wa grassroots. Okay. Chairs, I see grassroots. One thing I want maybe you to speak as, maybe I call the DPP na mkae msichoke. There's a journey you have gone through from a community activist from a marginalized community to you being an MCA and for being the chair of a very powerful institution. What is that one advice that you can advise women HRD who wants to take up leadership position? Like tips kama mbili ama tatu, bila story mingi. Juu leadership si politics. Hata huko space tunanyoroshwa. Tuko na DPP pia mama tujui yake, tujui ya Gloria, atujui ya siasa tunajua kidogo mnaongeanga. But what is that one thing you can advise women HRD and feminists who want to front themselves for leadership or their leading organizations?
Breathe in, breathe out. the information that she gave us, you need to breathe in and naona mlikauka. This is where we talk issues. Hii ni forum ambayo hatuogopi kumention chochote ambayo inahusu human rights or a human being. Sisi wamama ndio tunawazaa mashoga, tunazaa malaya, tunazaa professors. Kwa hivyo na tunazaa wale wako disabled, so we should be proud of what sisi huwa tunazaa, sawa? So mimi niko na a long history of mpaka nikue where I am, and this short girl with a big brain, I respect her a lot. She's normally the chair ya select wale ambayo the winners of the HRD's awards. And when I see her, and you know, this is a place where you see a person alafu nasahau ako mfupi, so you forget the height. Unaona brain, unaona akili, unaona activist. We've been with her in these streets of Nairobi. Tumekaa chini on the streets of and the roads of Nairobi, championing for the rights of women. One time I wanted to become a chief. I was the first Maasai woman to have run for the office of the chief. That was in 2001. Formerly I was a teacher. Alafu nikatoka nikawa tutor. And then nikatoka nikawa, that time we used to call ourselves inspectors of schools. So yes, so you can imagine inaacha hiyo yote kwa sababu I wanted to become a chief. I got inspired in my home chief's office. I see a woman being beaten naked by the brothers of the husband, the husband was not even around, just because she was found having sex with another man. And in front of the chief, the man who did that wasn't beaten. He was, you know, he went scot-free. So this woman was completely beaten in front of a man who was definitely a chief. Na nikasema nitakuwa chief ya hawa mama kwa sababu sitakubali wawahi kupigwa tena. So I ran with 18 men, 18 illiterate men, ambaye wakati huo the only thing that they had when we went for the interview ilikuwa ni rungu nyeusi. Kwa Wamasai kuna hii rungu nyeusi ambaye that portrays that you are a leader. I had a book and a pen because somehow the DC then wanted us to write some questions. Walizoea kwenda interviews hakuna questions. Then this DC just comes up with 10 questions, simple questions. Na wote walikuwa na rungu. So I sat down and I wrote my question and I answered. I was a school inspector of schools, so I was super bright for them. Yeah? So when I finished, they panicked. They panicked because they didn't write. In fact, they folded their papers and wakaanza kusema, watajuaje hii si yangu? Of course, watajua sio yako kwa sababu hukuandika interview. So my interview went very well. Mpaka ikafika national. Kijiji kaniamukia, wazee wakaniamukia, then the chief Olendutu wakaenda kusema, ukiwa hai mwanamke hatakuwa chief wetu. Kwani mama akipatiwa chief atapatiwa rungu, atashika, jamaa atachongewa rungu, I think kiasi ya hii microphone, atakuwa address watu na rungu gani. The second question I was asked, kukiibiwa ng'ombe, nani atapanda mlima kufuata ng'ombe? All those questions I was you know, like ready to answer. First of all, kazi ya kufuata ng'ombe wameibiwa is not done by a chief. Inafanywa na livestock unit. Kwa hivyo wale ambao wanaenda kuwafuata, I don't know who wanawafuata waende wachukue zile ziliibiwa. So nikapass interview 100%. Meetings were done. Now in 2002, I was on the headlines. Marry the potential chief who never became. I have that. Nimekata hiyo iko kwa frame in my house. So I never became the chief of Narosra sub-location. So you can see, when you see I look like this, and I just wanted you, don't even look at me like the chair, or I am a woman rights defender. Nimepigwa kwa streets. Na wakati huo nikaanza activism, I actually did not retire. I did not even resign. I left teaching. Kwa sababu wakati nilianza kuwa pa, imagine during my time, during that time, a Maasai woman could stand against FGM. So that is how sasa nikaingia kiwanja. I was considered a dangerous woman. So then that is when I told you I got to go to Geneva. And when I went to Geneva, I got elected as the gender representative for Africa indigenous women. Actually, yes. And then nikapanda na nikakuwa vice chairperson for Africa indigenous peoples. And I finally became the first woman to be the chair for all Africa indigenous peoples. Actually, there has not been any other. So you can see, I was just a primary school teacher, a Form 4. Na nikatoboa, na I just want to tell you, it is possible to change your community, your level where, how many of you see these cases happening and you report? Nani yako hapa ameona kesi kama hiyo ya msichana kuwa violated against na report ama ukawa part? If you are here and you have not, you are afraid, then you are in the wrong place. We are here, you must be resilient. You have to be fearless. During those time ilikuwa ni wakati wa Moi and then Kibaki, when even women voices want to be heard. Na nikaendelea hivyo, and I just told you this morning how we started the coalition, and this is why we are all here. And this is why I'm meeting very powerful women from the local level. Kwa hivyo nataka kuambia, it is possible, you can make it, just don't ever give up. Yes. Never give up. And if you start something, continue, or it's better you never started. Ukianza jambo, umeanza movement, umeanza organization, na unashindwa kuendelesha, basi hata heri ungeanza. So if you have started, I want to encourage you to continue, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. We are getting there. Sooner or later, we are getting there, and have a great day.
Viva Mary Simat, viva!
Viva!
Majampara mejichuado, yu jichuado. Sawa. I think kuna kitu tunapick kwa hizi conversation. Kuna hiyo perspective ya leadership, intersection organizing, also la allyship na peer support mechanism. And I think this is the reason why we are here, Gloria, if I'm not wrong. Because all of us want to be leader, we are leaders, but kuna kitu to drain. However, kuna resources among us ourselves, that's why we need to ensure we speak to each other. So situwapige makofi ya kuja kukaa nikita DPP. Wapigeni makofi. Ama wekewa ngoma wakienda kukaa. Asanteni, we see you comrades, we celebrate you and we love you so much. And we are giving you flowers. So as the DPP comes here, I know one of the biggest issue Phelister amesema, na najua interact na mtaongea. Our biggest concern DPP has been around cases taking so long to move forward. Our biggest concern has been around even the cooperation na DPP office. Sisi activists tuko kivyetu, DPP kivyao, na watu wengine kivyao. However, we acknowledge, kama kesi Elizabeth, I don't know if mmeona hiyo film, Gloria mani later, DPP was very supportive. So we need to clap for DPP. Is there anyone from Isiolo in this room? How many of you went with you to do justice for Elizabeth across the country? Show of hands. Justice for Elizabeth Ikaru. A woman human defender was killed in Isiolo. Si mnakumbuka vile ilikuwa tough? Tukienda Central tukiambiwa tukaandamane Isiolo si Nairobi. Tukasukuma tukaenda kwa office of the judiciary. Kama si pasari tulikuwa tumekaziwa kuingia. You remember? Mnakumbuka? However, your office stood with us, if Gloria I'm not wrong. DPP office hiyo kesi ndio ichukue less than 3 years, ndio? 2 years. You can imagine cooperation ya activists na your office. One of the femicide case imepata justice within less than 2 years. Si tupige makofi. So it means if you work together, even other femicide cases, zitapata justice. There's power in collaboration and partnership. And you are a woman. We do this work for all of us, for society. And we affirm your leadership. So we welcome you at least to say something. And even affirming the team because they are working in different counties. Sometimes it gets frustrating. What is that one thing or hope you can affirm us in terms of ensuring that justice iko? Sometimes tuna doubt. Tunauliza ama justice ni ya wababa, si ya wamama. Ama justice ni ya watu wengine, si ya sisi women activists. So karibu tumpigeni makofi. Kwani nyinyi wachoyo na makofi? Na ingekuwa ni mwanasiasa hapa mngepiga makofi mkidance. Clap for her nicely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. You're such a vibe, let me put it that way. Well, I had already spoken, and maybe to respond to what Mr. Kamau has raised, I had already given a reassurance of the DPP on what we do and what we intend to do moving forward, especially with the human rights defenders. On the issue of the non-action by the police, okay, the mandate of the DPP as derived under Article 157 of the Constitution, one of our mandates is to direct the Inspector General to investigate cases. Now, I don't know whether there are any of you here, either on your own behalf, on behalf of the people you represent, have found themselves in trouble with the police, and you go and report a case, then nothing is done. I think there's one case I've had, nothing was done. The non-action and inaction by the police. Please do not shy away. In all these counties, thankfully, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions is in every county, and actually every sub-county, and let me put it this way, in every station where there is a court. You aware of that? Do not shy away from doing a letter. This is a government office. Remember, you can come to my office as Madam Mary and whisper to me that, hey, this is what is happening. But I might not remember because I'm handling so many other cases. How about if you do a letter? And remember, you can do it on your own behalf if you're the one who's violated or on behalf of the people you're representing. I know people in the grassroots. Grassroots in place poa sana. I'm also one of those brought up in the village. And I know women are really violated. Do not shy away from writing a letter to the in-charge prosecution, that sub-county. I do not want you even to go to the county level if you're far from those main towns, okay? If you're far from a county headquarters where we have our colleagues, please do a letter to the in-charge of that station where you are. State your case that you reported. And as I said earlier, remember the DPP can only act on what has been reported. Please do not shy away. Have that OB number. And even if, at times, I'm sure one of you here may have gone to a police station and an officer refuses to record a case. Isn't that so? Still report to the DPP. Do a letter. By doing so, this is what the prosecutor in that area will do. They will do a letter, as long as you have written, and they will copy that letter to the OCS or the DCI. Mostly we like working with the DCI because by the time you report to a police station, maybe a rogue officer just refused to record that report because they have other interests, or maybe they have been told, iyo kesi usiguze. Sikuna kesi kama hizo. Write to the DPP. The DPP will do a formal letter to them, directing them to investigate that case and avail a file. What we normally do is we give them timelines. We can even tell them within 21 days, give us an inquiry file so that now we are able to give further directions on the same. So please, for cases where you find the police are not doing anything about it, write directly to the DPP. If not in those counties or sub-counties, you can even write to the headquarters, okay? We also have a department in the office where complaints are received. Our complaints section is very busy. It has enough prosecutors who normally write to our colleagues in every county, asking them that this matter has been reported, so take it up and ensure that investigations have been done and a file availed to the DPP for directions. So do not shy away from reporting. Report, report, report as much as you can. Then cases against the human rights defenders, especially on protests. Well, I do not have much authority to really speak on this, but I think we can have a kamukunji after this, okay? Yes, I know we have a DPP that listens to people. He can listen to you. You can always book an appointment with him. Every other day, the DPP is having delegations and delegations of people. Please, from the human rights defenders, do not shy away to book an appointment with the DPP and talk to him. He always listens. He always, and I'm sure some of you here may be aware, he's always meeting people from different departments, different groups, different organizations, including international organizations. And we normally get to see all this as colleagues. On the issue of the DCI removing names from the list, well, I know there are some cases even for those who have been charged. You realize that, fine, the case has been withdrawn, or the court has actually absolved you from any blame. But when you go to get a certificate of good conduct, that clearance, you realize that there is a question mark. You can even get a court order directing the DCI to have that rectified. Then on the issue of cases taking long in court, well, as prosecution, because I've really prosecuted from the grassroots. I've been in a place called Kandara for like 5 years. I have been in Nakuru. I have been in Kiambu, and now at the headquarters. One thing I know for a fact is there are several factors that can make a case delay. However, on the part of the DPP, let me speak for the DPP, we are always ready to proceed. However, as a prosecutor, put yourself in my case. You are in court, you're ready to proceed with the case. Maybe witnesses were not bonded. Can a prosecutor proceed? Maybe the court is not sitting that day, the court handling that matter. Can the prosecutor proceed? Can a prosecutor also get sick? It's possible. But most of the time you realize there are other extraneous factors that will make the case delay. However, do not hesitate, especially for you representatives of the victims. Please speak to your prosecutors in the grassroots, okay? Ukienda uko Kandara, ukienda Maua town, ukienda whenever there is a court station, speak to the prosecutor who is manning the particular court. They are always, we are trained to listen because we are like doctors. We deal with the very vulnerable cases. Kuna mtu enda kwa daktari akiwa healthy, unless kumsalimia akiwa rafiki yako, si ni kweli? So when a prosecutor sees you, they see a desperate case. So we are supposed, and we have also been taught, and even the policies in the office, we are supposed to listen to victims. Therefore, do not hesitate, especially if you go and introduce yourself that you're representing a certain person, that you're not having a personal interest. They should be able to give you information. I have had a chance to speak to ladies from Turkana. I was very excited, and they have even mentioned they have even told me there's a certain colleague. They have really spoken highly of him. I'll actually call him and tell him, hey, my colleague, Mr. So-and-so, someone has said something really nice about you, yet something negative about a colleague. I cannot go and anika them in the forum, no. But I'll still call them. Thankfully, we are here. We are finding ourselves in a certain WhatsApp group. Please feel free. Even if I'm not able to assist you in Samburu, I have a contact of our colleague in Samburu. You get that? So that now we are able to be in this fight, all of us together. But above all, I want you to know that apart from being a prosecutor, number one, I'm a woman. I want to defend women. I want to be in support of this cause. I want to be part of accelerating action. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Viva Christine, viva! Viva Christine, viva!
Viva!
And we accept you. You are amongst the senior elders now officially for the women human rights defenders. Situmpige makofi. And that's why we are extending the invitation to you. If you can have your colleagues, your friends, to be friends of women HRDs. Iye kwa aje Gloria?
Iko sawa.
Siye niko sawa DK? Na ni mama initiative, sindio? So that we're able to walk this journey together. At the same time, we're extending the invitation on Saturday. We are going to have a full day celebrating International Women's Day with also other duty bearers. And the focus will be on femicide and sharing experience and everything. So we're also extending the African Way invitation. We know it's your time for your family. However, we are Africans. Welcome. Na hii unakuja kama Christine, si ndio? Hatukuja kumulika hapa, ni tunaongea shida zetu. Juu pia femicide ina face women in public spaces. Na public office, we have seen. And also in private sector, si ndio? So mi najua program yangu imefika mwisho mpaka hapo. Mmeipenda ama mjaipenda? I hope you have learned something. Because one of the things also as activists, women HRD and women human defender, we need to understand process na procedures. So msanii wa Mbua, I know you have a case from Machakos. DPP ndio huyu. Mali mesimama, you don't need me. Mi sitaki kuwa broker. Mi sitaki kuwa gatekeeper. Jacinta, Cynthia, and the others that you know, Zaha, cases. Go and have coffee. Make them your friends. Tusiogope. That's how you build relationships. Ndio. Make them your friends. Enda uulize kunaendanga aje. Ndio pia sometimes ukitishwa na mimi najua mkubwa. Tunala. Ni strategy, ama ni uongo. That's why even DC is giving us all these spaces so that we are able to know how the system works and know how to engage. Right to information is important, and you cannot be an HRD without information and how procedures work. So asanteni sana kukua very active and listening. More love and more power to you. I'm giving you all my blessing and our ancestors' blessing as you go with the member through this process. Please. Tusikuje huku kunaitwa Riverside ama kunaitwa Two Rivers. Tusahau mashida zetu za kijiji. Tunaelewana? Ndio tutajibamba baadaye tuende tulale. Nilikuwa nimeambia Jacinta huku ndo mali article 43 iko fully implemented. Unajua article 43? Right to what and what? Upigi duster, auoshi vyombo, kitanda unatandikiwa, kuna right to food, right to security, to shelter. Situpigie DC na femicide makofi. Gloria, thank you for implementing NDC right article 43. Enye tuna struggle nayo sana sahi kama wa Kenya. Si tuna struggle wachieng. However, let's ensure this is very important work. Natoroka kidogo pia mimi nikapigana vita mahali pengine na wanasiasa. Tunashinda vita zote, si ndio? Vita zote tunashinda. Please ensure you give Melba the best. So by the time tunatoka hapa me release, we say this is our document. So sanga meaningful public participation. Tutaki tuanze kukua criminalized pia. This is our document. This is our memorandum. If you go, you can defend it. See a Melba, see a DC, see a femicide. Ni wa Kenya wote. And we have a common enemy, ni femicide. Sindio? Could you please, by show of hands, affirm to me that you're going to give all your best in this document? Andika hata na mother tongue. By show of hands. Tunelewana? Please give all your heart, your love. Tumeleta Phelister. Women, we are diverse. We are not only heterosexual women. Ama wanawake molewa. Ama sijui. Hata Sharon hakuwa malaya na aliambiwa ni malaya. Umesikia Phelister amemwambia malaya ni professionalism, si ndio? Yeye alikuwa amepeenda na kageuziwa. Tunaelewana? Please give this document the best. Usiangalie mama mimi ni ushago au sina wadogo nachukua wazee wetu wazee si bag. Tunaelewana? Mary ametupatia example. Please give your heart, your love to this document. Asanteni.
Rachel in the house. Thank you so much, Rachel. Makofi, wapi makofi ya Pussy Power?
Tunaona, tunasikia na tutabonga.